focused on bringing delicious yet healthy tea blends to the community. Filled with an abundance of vitamins and antioxidants, we work to blend teas with exotic spices and fruits to produce scrumptious and wholesome beverages. So check us out at mymajesties.com. That's MyMajesties.com. My Majesties, an Urban Passport member.
Let's get back to strolling instead of scrolling. Before we can safely come together, we need the facts on COVID-19 vaccines. Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision for yourself and for your family.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's been difficult because I hadn't been able to see my grandchildren.
An expression on someone's face when you do something nice for them.
I miss all my friends in school.
Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision about COVID-19 vaccine.
The Sweet and Smoky Salmon Rub infuses smoked black pepper with dehydrated maple syrup, pink Himalayan salt, ginger, thyme, mustard, and more to make a sweet, savory rub, perfect for salmon, trout, and other delicate seafood.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
HBCU League Pass. Watch your favorite black colleges. Some of the best players in the land. HBCU League Pass. It's game time. I'm proud and I love my HBCU. HBCU League Pass. Watch your favorite black colleges. Some of the best players in the land. HBCU League Pass. It's game time. I'm proud and I love my HBCU.
Some carriers will give you just one measly entertainment subscription. One is no fun. With Verizon, there's up to 7 entertainment subscriptions with your unlimited plan. That's 7 times the... 7 times the... No. 7 times the... Music, gaming, Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus, and more. That's 7 times the entertainment. Because everyone deserves better. And with plans starting at just $35, better costs less than you think.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Office and speak to a real lawyer and not some referral service. I will fight the insurance companies to get the settlement that you deserve. At the law office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being heard.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
Oh, we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
This is Carlos Brown.
All right, hello and good evening. Welcome to the O&G Strike Zone. I'm Brian Fulford, I promise, with a funky voice today. And that's Kelvin Rozier, Kofi Hemingway. I'm going to try to have them do more talking than me today, as I don't know, it's just been one of those things with my voice over the last few days. So that's just what I'm dealing with. Kelvin, Kofi, how you brothers doing today?
I'm good, man. That's what you get for hollering at people, kids, man. When you're coaching, man, you can't scream to the top of your lungs, man. You have to talk to them calm and professional, and they're self-motivated. They don't need any kind of high velocity thrown, no shade thrown their way, man. You don't have to tell them they suck.
You realize
No,
I'm coaching high school,
man,
not college.
Yeah, that'll make you lose your voice, buddy. I've been there.
Yeah, that'll do it. No, I just think it's a little flimmy, you know, all that. I don't know what, you know, it's a little thing going around. Fortunately, you know, I'm trying to do everything I can do to stay safe. Kofi, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Where's your tea at?
It was in my little mug here. It's had some bunch of lemons and some. No, because then I won't make it through the show. I'll tell you that much. If it were hotty toddy, I wouldn't make it through the show, or it might get real wild up in here. One of the two. You look on there and say, "Why is Brian sweating so much?" Yeah, so I try not to do that. So yeah, so we'll try to get through this show. Again, I'm gonna try to let Kelvin and Kofi do as much of the talking as possible here in this show, while I try to keep my voice about me as much as possible. I want to thank you guys for watching the O&G Strike Zone on Facebook and YouTube, and those of you watching on Twitter as well. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, hit the like button there on those streams, wherever you're at. Please make sure to follow us, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at O&G Strike Zone. And then go download the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. There you see it at the top right of the screen, My JBN, My BCSN, on the Google Play Store or Apple App Store. And then also download the BCSN Pod Zone. That's BCSN Pod Zone to hear the podcast version of all of our shows on Amazon Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple and Google Podcast, and more. All right, so on today's show, we got a lot of housekeeping stuff. You know, a lot of news going on around HBCUs. A few awards and all kinds of stuff to talk about with FAMU. And coming up in the second hour, we'll talk to our interim head track coach, Coach Rufus Peoples, and we'll get to find out what's going on with our track program as their season, I believe, starts coming up in January. All right, so Kelvin, what's the first story we got? What's the first thing on the agenda on the rundown?
Basketball, ladies basketball.
Yes, indeed.
Our ladies played Tuskegee on what was it, Monday?
Monday.
And came with a victory in overtime. Hard fought victory. Now, it was mentioned that Tuskegee has quite a few Division I transfers and JUCOs, pretty much their whole squad. So they're a experienced squad that's played a lot, but it was a hard fought game. The Lady Rattlers pulled away for a little while, and then a run will be made by Tuskegee, and the final score in that game in overtime, and a 2-point win for the Lady Rattlers. And it's also their second win of the season. One win over Georgia State and one win over Tuskegee. So right now we just trying to stack up W's. They got Mississippi State tomorrow. SEC school, and of course, you know, they're dealing with a tragedy in their athletic department with the death of their head football coach, Coach Mike Leach, and we definitely want to send out prayers and condolences to the Mississippi State athletic family, friends, loved ones on that passing.
Let me ask you guys, when you look at this game against Tuskegee, now Tuskegee, I think, are one of the better Division II women's programs, division teams. I think they'll be in the hunt for the SIAC title this year. They've been a playoff caliber team each of the last 2 seasons. I think they went to the playoffs 2 years ago. I can't recall last year. But when you look at us having to go into overtime with a good Division II team, what is that? Do you feel like, hey, that's, you know, on par with where we're at? Do you look at it as if, you know, really Tuskegee is more like a lower level D1, or just what in general? What's your take on going to overtime, winning by 2 against Tuskegee?
I think at this point in the schedule, I think you know, just given we are who we are, where we are at this time. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you good.
We, you know, just where we are at this time, and I think that we have to, you know, we have to take the wins as we get them, considering where we were last year when we didn't have any wins and um, until much further along in the season. So I'm happy with the progress of this team. I can definitely see that they've improved. We are competitive, and we're finding ways to win where we didn't find those ways last year. So as the team continues to make progress, if we stay healthy, we will be a factor in the tournament.
I agree, and we had 4 players in double figures, so it was a team win, and at this point, um, just learning how to win and making sure you win these games. This is a game we're supposed to win. We're at home, and finding a way to win it. I think those lessons are important for this team right now in this program where they're at, and so you got to take the W, man. A win is a win, right? Right now. The team is playing more competitive against D1 talent, so we're we're looking better, and we'll just hopefully between now and conference play, they'll continue to build that chemistry and camaraderie. If we can get 4 players to average in double figures every game, I think that's a good thing. That's a good sign there.
Yeah, I like the fact that prior or coming into the Tuskegee game, the other mid majors. Let's see, we played Sam Houston, lost by 8. South Alabama lost by 10. Eastern Michigan lost by 7. I know there are a lot of people out there who don't believe in the glass half full, and they want instant improvement. We get it, but this is a building process. This is a house being built, and right now we're still in the concrete and laying brick stages. So, I think that's all what it is. Uh, any other? What else? What else is going on, Kelvin? We're talking basketball. What else? We got some men's basketball action to talk about, right?
Yes, the men's played yesterday against also against D2 Edward Waters, and that game also ended up being a pretty competitive fight. One thing that I noticed about this particular game was I had been looking for a specific player. I don't know Ming Stevens, but he was the guy that shot the 3-point shot and went off in one of our actually a couple of our games last year. He's a 3-point specialist and hadn't seen much of him up until this last game, but he did get in and scored, I believe, 7 points against Edward Waters. The Rattlers ended up winning the game 58-47. So our 2 wins have been against Division II opponents, and we've just being honest, the team has not looked good offensively all season, right? They haven't been very competitive out of conference and have really um, struggled against the 2 Division II teams, but they won, and I'm hoping they're getting healthy and they got some guys back, and but it's gonna be tough, man, for them because they next 3 games, is like Louisville, Kentucky, and Purdue before they go into the swag play. So Louisville ain't doing well this year. Who knows? But of course, Kentucky and Purdue. It is what it is. So
Hey, we knew this schedule. We knew this schedule was going to be hard. Doesn't it? I mean, why refresh or what we knew? Why did we schedule such a hard schedule with such a new team?
Well,
Well,
I
I don't
believe
think
it,
that
it
they
kind
were.
of it kind of falls into two things, Brian. I think one is that we have to have a certain amount of guaranteed dollars. Usually, I think that them somewhere around 650,000 that men's basketball has to bring in or something like that. And then I think he might do a little extra to see if anything above that can go back into the program itself. But and then it's about who's available. Also for us, a lot of people don't realize. I think Coach mentioned it one time when he was on our show, is that the availability of Lawson. They have to work around graduation and other events that already are in that facility. So um, they don't always get first choice of a date. So it's a combination of things, I think.
Kofi, you sounded like you want to get in there, jump in there.
Well, I mean, at the time, when they made the schedule, BJ was still contemplating playing for us. So that also has a lot to do with some of the stuff. But right now, really with the new team, the schedules at the beginning of the year, I think we should be used to it by now. The schedule is still the schedule. I think that at some point, though, we've got to really look at where we are right now. What is the vision for our basketball program? Where do we really, really, really want to be? And how we really, really, really want to get there. It's a revenue sport. So we've got to figure out how we can literally be successful consistently, because the current model that I'm seeing right now is not working. And I know that Coach is a great guy. I think he's a fantastic guy. But at the same time, we've got to supply him with whatever he needs so that he can be successful. He has the APR, the graduation stuff figured out. Those guys listen to him. They respond to him. What we do not have is the infrastructure aspect of our basketball program. And where the other part of that is that we don't have the I want to say the additional necessities that are crucial for our success. For instance, with our trainers and everything else. So we've got to really do an assessment going in, especially with our new AD coming in, and say, okay, this is where we are now. We believe that he's going to be able to get us here. This is where we can be. But this is where we want to go. We want to be Sweet 16 level. We want to be Elite 8 level. Whatever that is, we need to start defining that now and start looking at ways to make that happen.
I agree 1,000% with you, Kofi. Two interesting things. One, did you guys hear Jackson State's Mo Williams? Did you hear his plea?
Absolutely, I heard it. And
that was amazing.
Every HBCU needs to say the same darn thing. It's especially us. We've got a 9,000 seat arena. We have yet to have 9,000 people for a basketball game. We've yet to do it, but we know that the people are there because we get over 30,000 people for homecoming. All we need is a good, consistent average of between 5,000 and 6,000 people, and Lawson will rock. Now, we can get to the 9. I think we'll really, really, really be balling. But our people are not emotionally connected to our basketball team because we've sucked for so long. And we've got to figure out again, if we say that we want to be successful, there are layers to our success. The administration has to be all in. Our AD administration has to be all in. Rattler, our players have to be all in. And Rattler Nation also has to be all in. We've already shown that Lawson is a very, very tough place to pull out a W. Imagine if it was packed. We're not even half full in the mug most of the time. But if Lawson is packed, bro, it is really going to shift. It could really shift the narrative regarding how far we believe this program can really go. And I believe that we can
Hey,
be
I just want to add
elite on
real
the
quick.
basketball level.
I don't know if y'all saw Florida. I don't know if y'all saw Florida State game. They played yesterday too. They start times about an hour after hours, and they might have had 1,000 people if that in the Civic Center also. So I bring that up to say that this time of year in Tallahassee, it's pretty tough unless you find a way to get the local crowd excited and out. Um, it ain't just us. The numbers not there. The students are gone, and folks getting ready for the holidays, and
I get it,
and
especially.
the other
I'm
thing I
sorry.
would like to see is for us to have some, have our marketing promotions and stuff done earlier in the year, and then during every week they have some kind of reminders and highlights, inviting folks out and so forth. The fact that we didn't have season tickets, I mean, I tried to go to I paid to go to the first game, but I tried to get my season tickets then. And the fact that I still don't have season tickets for basketball, that's a problem.
Wow.
So operationally, we have to do some things too.
How many? What's
Like I
the
said, it's
population of
layers.
Tallahassee?
400,000 people.
Well, if you add in the the
200,000 in
metro
the
area, if
city.
you add in the counties,
200,000 metro.
Quincy and Wakulla and Jackson and so forth. I mean, Wakulla, Jefferson, and Leon, and Gaston. Then you buy that 400,000.
So I would look. You mentioned 1,000 for Florida State at the Civic Center. I'd love to see 1,000 at Lawson. You know, and it's interesting how many different times we can plea. We can talk about, hey, we'd love to see it pack the pit. I feel like we have the same plea to whether it be marketing, whether it be the athletic department, whether it be the student body. I mean, there are all kinds of grassroots ways that we could build and increase the attendance at Lawson Center. And I'm not trying to say that nobody is trying those, but I'd really love to know why it's not happening. I'd hate to really buy in this belief that nobody cares, nobody's doing anything. I don't want to believe that. Uh, but yeah, it's disappointing. And then we've got the scheduling is just all set up poorly. Uh, for example, we've got Bethune Cookman, and I saw our good friend Dexter Martin post this. We've got Bethune Cookman scheduled the first week of January, and the students aren't even back yet.
Yeah.
Why would we do that?
Well,
I
we
mean,
didn't
I
do
don't know.
that. The
Maybe
conference makes it. Yeah, yeah. The conference makes the
I,
schedule.
I I get that, but I mean, at some point we've got to. Well, I know the conference makes the schedule. I get it. I would really love to see somebody make that plea to the conference and say, and maybe they have. I don't know. Maybe they have to kind of say, hey, conference, our biggest rival is Bethune, and it's before any students are back. Well, I mean, we got to be better than that. It's got to be better than that. You know. Real
Agreed.
quick, I wanted to. I put together some graphics because I got a feeling, guys. Call me crazy. We have a very good chance to win our first game of the season on Saturday. And when I say our first game against a Division I opponent, because on Saturday we play the Louisville Cardinals, who actually, as of today, are a worse basketball team according to ratings that the NCAA tracks than FAMU are right now. Mel, if we could pull up graphic number 1, because there are 365 teams that are rated in the NCAA, and the NCAA makes their net ratings. And we actually, FAMU comes in at 357, and Louisville comes in at 359. And I'm going to give it a second to see if our producer Mel has those graphics. Because when you look at the comparison of Louisville and us, we have two teams that are performing at a really poor rate right now. It's really interesting for Louisville, who is in the ACC. They won 2 national championships in their program history. And they're struggling just as poorly as we are. So maybe we don't have them ready. So let's do this. Let's take a break and come back, and let's analyze FAMU versus Louisville this upcoming Saturday, and why I believe the Rattlers have a very good chance to pull off a win in Louisville, Kentucky. You're watching the O&G Strike Zone. We'll be back in just a moment.
Letting you know that we're on the move. You can now catch the Carlos Brown Show beginning this July on the Black College Sports Network each every Saturday from 11 to 1 Eastern Time. That's 10 to 12 Central Time. Same time, new place. On Facebook at the Carlos Brown Show and Black College Sports Network. Online at www.mybcsn.net and on the BCSN app available on Google Play and the Apple App Store.
Five-star backyards, Yellowwood brand pressure-treated pine. If it doesn't have this yellow tag, you don't want it.
Now, you can't live in Texas and not have a good red meat blend. Texas Cowboy Dust is designed for steak and other red meats. It's out to be my most popular spice blend, made with onions, peppers, ground mushrooms, pink salt, and other spices. Texas Cowboy Dust also goes great with chicken, pork, vegetables, and adds a restaurant-quality sheen to gravies and sauces.
It's like a loot machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
Vanilla smoked sea salt seasoning is for seafood. The tarragon and fennel bring out the natural sweetness in seafood. I also use it in rice dishes, on yams, asparagus, blueberry pancakes, and believe it or not, chocolate chip cookies. Vanilla smoked sea salt adds a salty and savory component to sweet dishes that create a symphony for the tongue.
You see, Head & Shoulders has scalp shield technology, protects against flakes, even between washes. It's never not working.
Kind of like us. Number 15?
Never not working!
I don't like this one.
Me neither.
Let's get out of here.
Head & Shoulders scalp shield, never not working.
We are making the virtual HBCU experience available wherever you live through Stillman Online. We offer online degrees in business, criminal justice, psychology, and religion. Stillman also offers technology badges in cybersecurity and data analytics. You can participate in all student activities, fraternities and sororities, internships, graduation ceremonies, and much more. Apply for admission today at stillman.edu. Stillman College, where we prepare you for a different world.
Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique to spice up your closet with trendy, unique looks. We have fashionable and chic looks at very affordable prices. Velvet Boutique offers free shipping all year long on all orders. Shop online at www.melvetboutique.com. That's www.melvetboutique.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique.
Whether it's advice on managing your anxiety or tools to help you stay grounded, Coping-19 provides a range of resources and self-care tips to help you cope with this pandemic. We can help. Find the resources that work best for you at coping-19.org.
Okay, welcome back to the O&G Strike Zone. Brian, Kelvin, and Kofi. And so we were talking about Louisville and FAMU's game coming up here on Saturday. And it's a big opportunity here for FAMU. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape. And let me preface this by saying, guys, tonight, Louisville is taking on Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky. Louisville is a 7.5-point home underdog. Again, I kid you not. All right. So anyway, Mel, put the first graphic back up there again. Let's go through the net rates. Kelvin, if you would go through this, because I don't have much of a voice right now.
So we talked about our strength of schedule. We've played quite a strong schedule considering where we position, and our strength of schedule is 10 points higher than theirs, positions higher than theirs. We're both 0-6 against D1 opponents. We've been on the road, of course, getting those checks. So, whereas Louisville has only been on the road once. They're 0-5 at home. So, just looking at that breakdown, it does seem like there's a chance. And we're a solid defensive team. And when you're playing a team that is struggling, as Louisville is, you're hoping that your defense will keep you in the game. But yeah, it on paper it's a winnable game.
There's only 365, I think, is the number teams that fall in that net ranking. Now, go to the next graphic, Mel. These are some of those numbers, Kelvin, that you were just talking about.
Yeah, so they're only averaging 2 points more per game than we are, and being outscored by double digits, almost 20. We're being outscored by 20. They're outscored by 17. We allow about the same amount of points per game thus far, 75 and 74. They only shoot 37% field goal percentage, and we're at 35, and then 288. So yeah, all the numbers. We're the same team right now. Now we'll be the road team, and they still a ACC team, and so you'll still be going against, and they probably looking at that game as their game to get back on track as a W, and so we have to come to play. But it would be it's a game that we should be in.
Kofi, if we knock off Louisville, is this as big a win as what we did when we played Iowa State, or what's the impressions if we knock off Louisville, given how poor, like, they're worse than us by the metrics. Is it still a big
Well,
win if we beat Louisville?
historically, it would be the biggest win in FAMU history, easily.
It's a blue blood.
Wow.
Irregardless of what Louisville has done or where they are right now, FAMU beats Louisville. That's the biggest win in FAMU history, as far as basketball is concerned. Louisville is a traditional blue blood power in basketball, so to be able to come away with a victory against an ACC opponent, that'll be our first victory versus an ACC opponent, and against the blue blood program like a Louisville. I know we beat Iowa State a couple of years ago, but they don't have near the history that Louisville does in basketball.
And by the way, Brian, I just add, the SWAC has done really well in out of conference games thus far. Grambling in particular, man, has about four wins, I think, over group of five or Power Five schools. And of course, we talked about what happened with with the Pac-12 challenge and us, going 500, winning the home games, and even one on the road as a conference. So the conference is doing really well, which is why you want to see FAMU basketball team turn the corner and start to compete too, because conference play may end up, strangely enough, being more difficult than the out of conference schedule. Save 2 or 3 games.
Good point. Good point. What's next on the agenda?
Well, we got athletes who graduated and some All-American teams for football. So let's start graduate. Graduate weekend, we had 22 student athletes who graduated in the fall. Uh, Football led the way with 13 graduates. Softball had 3. Women's track had 3. Volleyball had 1. And men's track had 1. And women's basketball had 1. So congratulations to my fellow alumni now. And that's what it's all about. That's a win when you have folks graduating and joining the workforce and everything. Then that's a win. So that's what it's all about. That's why HBCUs exist, to educate. Kobe, you got any thoughts on that?
I mean, as bad as a year that we had with all that publicity with the APR and everything else that's gone out to see our players graduate, that's a big deal. And especially with African American males doing it, and all of our athletes, it speaks to their dedication, their discipline, their follow through, and their ability to finish. So they get kudos for all of that. And I want to see us, again. I wish there were another way that we could celebrate our athletes, but I mean, they get kudos. Their future is bright, and they're carrying the FAMU brand and the FAMU torch in the community. I've said before that FAMU is a launching pad for emerging leaders, world changers, and record breakers. So I'm looking forward to this next generation of Rattlers going out and really changing the world and making an impact.
Absolutely. So we had a couple of all conference teams announced with Rattlers a part of. One was the Phil Steele SWAC all conference team, and then we had the Box to Row HBCU all American team, and FAMU led the way just as they did with the all SWAC first team with all SWAC nominations. We were well represented And those all those teams pretty much look similar in terms of the rattlers who made it. You had your kicking specialists, both punting Fadul and kicker Romo, and then we had of course Zay at receiver. You had Isaiah and Kamari Stevens on the D line, and uh, Goss, the offensive lineman, as a part of mostly all those teams. So a lot of uh, enemies, whether it be I think I also saw a FCS All American team, and it pretty much I think Zay and was of course a second team on All American FCS team. Um, but the point being that the student athletes on part of the Rattlers football program, highly regarded, highly respected, and the proof is in how many different All American teams that the athletes find themselves on. Your thoughts, Kofi?
Well, I mean, you know, first off, the All American squads and everything that we've seen in regards to our All Americans and our box totals, all SWACs, all it does is bring up a very old wound that came on Labor Day weekend this past year versus Jackson State. That's all it does. Because it's like, doggone it, we done had, we got more players on the first team, but we still got beat 59-3. And I know that, just really with I want to say just the crazy week that we've had. This is just the second year in a row that we've had administrative woes just really affect the outcome of the overall season. And going into 2023, that can't happen. It can really, really, really not happen. I know that the I know that the board of trustees supposedly brought down the hammer and they said what they said to President Robinson in regards to his overall performance and everything with that. That being said, it still brings up an old wound.
What hammer? What hammer
I'm going
did
back.
they bring? I can't let you. I can't go. What hammer did they bring? I mean, you getting a raise, getting a bonus? What hammer?
Well, I'm just saying. Well, you're absolutely right. Which brings me to my next point. It brings me to my next point. It's really on us, Rattler Nation, to communicate our thoughts and our disdain, because I'm not convinced that everything that they said they were going to do has been done. I don't know. I know that they said that they were going to hire our compliance people. I don't know if they're waiting on Tiffany to get in to make so she can make those decisions. I don't know exactly what's going on with that. But what I do know that it's currently not done yet. And if it's not done, that kind of like puts us back into the whole puts us in an uncomfortable position, because literally when she gets here on January 4th, she's literally got to hit the ground running. And that's not necessarily fair to her and the things that I believe that she stands for. So we need to speak up. We need to send our emails. We need to communicate. And I want to say, not necessarily going off, but we need to ask questions to find out where we are in the process of all of this. And I think that all of that is fair.
I can tell you, I've been hearing that I think they've identified the 4 office spaces in the Gaither office complex for those positions, and I believe that there has been at least one, possibly 2 um, personnel processes, people going through the process for those positions. So hopefully we'll get confirmation and an announcement at the beginning of the new year. but I do know that there is a progress towards that going on now. The positions have been funded, and they will be housed in athletics, but the budget is not coming from athletics.
Okay.
That's the information I received.
Okay. Well, man, it's just one of those things, man, and I just want us to take the next step. I don't want to see the same mistakes that we've repeated over the last couple of years. It's time for us to show growth in this area. It's time for us to show that we're competent in this area and that we're not going back, that we're moving forward, that our APR is going to be at a different level. Our compliance issues will be non-existent, that we'll have that together. We'll have our players eligible and ready to go. And I know that Coach Simmons mentioned that they were going to do their due diligence to make sure that they recruit the right players, to make sure that, when they do go through compliance, that the transfer credits and those things, which again is still a presidential issue, because our president should, um, in my opinion, be making um, I want to say amendments to our transfer policy to make it easier for players to transfer in and accepting credits. I will never forget the 2021 season when we had Olakoden and um, Kamari Everett, who's currently down at Cookman. I mean, if we have those two guys, this team, the FAMU team, goes 11-0. I believe we would have beat South Florida and we would have won the SWAC. So in reality, that one mistake cost us about $3 million.
Well, of course, when you reference Colorado, the Dion went there, and one of the first announcements that the I don't know if he was the AD president or who he was, but when they were introducing him, one of the first thing they announced was that they had made some adjustments to their transfer policy so that it would be a little bit more seamless for the student athletes to get into the University of Colorado. And I think that's what you're speaking to, not necessarily making it easier or different from um, other students, but just making sure that we look at all our processes and that they make sense. And the people who work in those areas are familiar with it and understand the process and are responsive, right? Um, and I agree with you. We always got to be better every year than we were the year before, and and that should be the goal of everybody as a university community, to serve our students and to be responsive to them and each other. And that doesn't always happen, but we have to continue to use our platform to bring those kind of things into the light and keep that pressure on. Another roundup issue, Kofi, was the what Black College Hall of Fame. We
Absolutely.
had
Henry Lawrence and the Rattlers that are coming in through there. So go ahead.
yeah, Henry Lawrence and Tyrone McGriff, two offensive linemen who are legendary in folklore of FAMU football. Um, both announced that they're part of the 14th class of 2023, the class of 2023. Um, there were two of 8 inductees that were selected out of 25 finalists, and they, of course, I know you agree. I don't think anybody wouldn't would disagree with those two nominees. No matter if you're a Rattler or not, um, definitely wouldn't have had. I think both of them were 4-year starters at FAMU, 3 or 4 years, and they were All American multiple years. So, born to the pros and had pretty solid, successful pro careers. And in Killer's case, I think he has an argument for a Hall of Fame career with both his longevity and the Super Bowls he had and the all pro teams he made. Him and Nate Newton, actually, I think both have a case. But either way, Henry and then of course Tyrone was taken away from us much too soon. And his son, came and was a great player for us, and now is the head coach at here in Tallahassee at Leon High School, which is a legendary high school in the state of Florida. Even though they've struggled over the last, say, 5 to 10 years, but historically they've been a powerhouse and juggernaut. So, congratulations to both of those Rattlers, well deserved, and the Hall did right by the Rattlers on this one. You got any more comments on that?
No, man, it's time for a break.
All right. This is the O&G Strike Zone with Kofi, Brian, be back, and Kelvin. We'll be back in about 2 minutes with our interim track director, Coach Peoples.
Whether it's advice on managing your anxiety or tools to help you stay grounded, Coping 19 provides a range of resources and self-care tips to help you cope with this pandemic. We can help. Find the resources that work best for you at coping-19.org.
Bounty versus the old family dish towel. Drying with a fresh sheet of Bounty leaves your hands cleaner than a used dish towel that can carry and redistribute food residue. So ditch the dish towel for better hand hygiene. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
One bite of 100% Angus beef ballpark frank, and you'll say, hello, summer. Oh yeah, it's ballpark season.
It's like a loot machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
Majesty is a premium health and wellness tea line focused on bringing delicious yet healthy tea blends to the community. Filled with an abundance of vitamins and antioxidants, we work to blend teas with exotic spices and fruits to produce scrumptious and wholesome beverages. So check us out at mymajesties.com. That's MyMajesties.com. My Majesties, an Urban Passport member.
Let's get back to strolling instead of scrolling. Before we can safely come together, we need the facts on COVID-19 vaccines. Visit GetVaccineAnswers.org so you can make an informed decision for yourself and for your family.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app. As we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora. as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's been difficult because I hadn't been able to see my grandchildren.
An expression on someone's face when you do something nice for them.
I miss all my friends in school.
Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision about COVID-19 vaccine.
The sweet and smoky salmon rub infuses smoked black pepper with dehydrated maple syrup, pink Himalayan salt, ginger, thyme, mustard, and more to make a sweet, savory rub, perfect for salmon, trout, and other delicate seafood.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
HBCU League Pass. Watch your favorite black colleges. Some of the best players in the land. HBCU League Pass. It's game time. I'm proud and I love my HBCU. HBCU League Pass. Watch your favorite black colleges. Some of the best players in the land. HBCU League Pass. It's game time. I'm proud and I love my HBCU.
Some carriers will give you just one measly entertainment subscription. One is no fun. With Verizon, there's up to 7 entertainment subscriptions with your unlimited plan. That's 7 times the... 7 times the... No! 7 times the... Music, gaming, Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus, and more. That's 7 times the entertainment! Because everyone deserves better. And with plans starting at just $35, better costs less than you think.
All right, welcome back to the O&G Strike Zone. Brian, Kelvin, and Kofi here. And want to take a second to let you guys know Jericho Broadcast Networks. We are hosting a fundraising opportunity to continue to help us grow a network-wide fundraising goal that we are kicking off here. You can go to myjbn.com/grow. Not only are we part of the Jericho Broadcast Networks, we are part of the Black College Sports Network, but there's more to Jericho Broadcast Networks, including V108, The Vibe, Urban Vibe, Gospel Vibe, JDTV, and V108 Talk Vibe. You can find out more about all of these platforms by downloading the app, which you can find it on the Google Play and Apple App Store. MyJBN, MyBCSN. Every donation helps us continue to grow and in positive ways so that we continue to bring more content, not just sports content, but all kinds of other content to you and your various platforms. So make sure you're following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And of course, MyJBN1 on YouTube. All righty. All right.
All right. With that out of the way, we honored to have our guest for this next segment with us. interim FAMU track coach, Rufus Peoples. And first of all, Coach, I just kind of want to first of all thank you for coming on the show. We've been talking about it
Oh, no problem.
for a few weeks here, and we finally made it happen. I kind of want you to talk about your background, Coach. First of all, introduce yourself to Rally Nation. When did you come to the university? You know, how long you been interim, and just kind of your journey at FAMU. Start off there, please.
Okay, so I came in as the men's jump coach under Coach Dawson last season, and that's what basically where I started. And last season, had a few changes, which led me to being the jump coach on both sides. And from there, basically coach the jumpers, had a pretty successful year with the jumpers, including one athlete, Rachel Robinson, going to nationals. I think it was like the first woman to go to nationals in like 9 years or something like that from the university. And then over the summer, with a lot of the kind of coaching transition, people stepping down, well, with Dawson stepping down, and other coaches had already left. Pompey had left before that. Kind of left a coaching void where at first the AD asked me about kind of just continuing cross country, but it kind of basically quickly snowballed into me just basically taking over all programs. So since the summer, basically I've been, the interim director of track and field, basically managing all programs at FAMU, um, women's cross country, and both men's and women's indoor and outdoor track and field.
Okay, Coach. Want you kind of talk about uh what what was your plan in terms of coming into cross country, that particular um sport, with such a late start, and talk about the cross country season, and how did that go, and then follow that up with where we are with indoor track right now.
Okay, wait, give me one second. Okay, so basically, it was kind of a trial by fire. Basically, it was kind of a trial by fire where it's just like, okay, all of a sudden there was a void to be filled, so they needed a coach to kind of take over cross country. So basically, I kind of stepped up. Had a little bit of a learning curve because, as I said, my background is more of a jumps coach. So just trying to transition to like distance, and had to kind of basically go study and go learn and go figure it out, and work with the athletes and kind of put together a plan that actually was somewhat successful because the year before I got here, the cross country team was like next to last in the SWAC. So of 12 teams, there were 11. And this year, we got, I think it was seventh. But even in that seventh or eighth or whatever we were, it was like just a few points between like where we were and like three places higher. And I had one athlete that was like injured, which ended up being the fifth person to cross. So we actually could have been a lot higher, had she, not been injured, just basically kind of finishing the race to make it get there. So basically, I just kind of sat down as at the beginning of the season and just kind of put together a training plan and just kind of you know just did what I knew how to do.
Okay, and what about indoor? How's indoor looking right now?
Indoor is good. Basically, so like last year the women finished second in the SWAC, but we lost a lot of the pieces that kind of helped us get there. Like so, a lot of the girls who scored most of the points are gone. But over the summer, but also what I didn't say about my background is last season I was a recruiting coordinator. So before I was interim coach, I was also a recruiting coordinator. So over the summer, I was able to pull in a few pieces that was kind of able to fill the void of some of the pieces that we lost. So like i.e. like I made mention of Rachel going to nationals, but at SWAT she scored like she won that high jump, won the triple jump, and also got like fourth or fifth in the long jump. So she by herself scored like 24, 25 points. Well, I was able to land the JUCO national champion high jumper, on the female side to kind of replace Rachel, which could also give us some points in some of the other jumps as well. I was also able to land a transfer from University of North Carolina and on the sprints. Um, so I was able to put a few pieces together, especially to kind of get the girls at least close to where they were, given what we lost. Because we had seniors that graduated and all of those things that you will have any year. On the guys side, we've been kind of restructuring the guys side. The guys should look better than they did last year. They're still not quite ready to be trying to compete for like a championship or top two or anything like that. But they definitely should be better than the seventh place finish they were last year.
Okay, all right. Kofi, what you got? Is Kofi there? Brian,
Yep, I'm here.
what you got?
Well, hey, Coach, appreciate you coming on. With just the challenges that the program has had to deal with, and just our, athletic environment that, and I know it's created a lot of challenges. How have you handled that on the recruiting trail? I mean, what are some of the selling points? And I hate to say it that way, but sometimes it's like that in recruiting. What are the selling points that you're able to get across to the student athletes that still make coming and running for you and running at FAMU a desirable place while we are going through the changes, and obviously, be a lot of improvements when we have the new athletic director in place and new hires in other areas. But just talk a little bit about how you've been able to reach student athletes with so much turnover over the past year.
Okay, it's been actually very challenging. I mean, I could probably go on for hours as to how, these different recruiting battles have kind of played out. And I've actually lost many of the top recruits I kind of had ready to come to the program. I've even had, and so there are two things that kind of been challenging. Is I talk about challenge first, then I talk about, the selling points. But two of the things that have been challenging is one, as an interim, I've spent a majority of the time kind of with my hands tied. Like, you don't necessarily want the interim to do the recruiting if you're thinking you're gonna bring another coach. And even before that, like, coaches might have been missing for long periods of time. And as recruiting coordinator, I wasn't allowed to bring in people for long stretches. So it created a lot of challenges. Um, One of the biggest selling points is actually just the school. Like, there's, especially now, there's this whole HBCU movement where there are a lot of kids that you might not have necessarily thought would have been interested in coming to a FAMU that are like literally almost reaching out, like, hey, I would like to go to an HBCU. And if you can identify the kids that literally have in their mind that, I would put an HBCU at the top of my list, and some, it's not even HBCU, it's FAMU. It's really a matter of, you can identify the kids that have a lot of talent, that also have the mentality that this is where they want to come. That's really kind of the easiest sale. Um, and because I had, the success I had last year with jumpers, I've had jump coaches and athletes from across the country actually reach out to me, which has put a lot of really high caliber jumpers on my radar. And even that success has also bled over to some sprints and some other things. So between just the reputation of the school, between the whole HBCU movement that's going on, and between the some successes we've had through last season, that's kind of allowed me to have some of the wins that I've had as far as recruiting. Now I have, like I said, I have lost some heartbreaking recruits. Like, I've had some of the best in the state of Florida. You know, like in one situation, when you talk about the confusion, there was one kid that was, I was we were to the point like, okay, well, let me go and write you a scholarship. And it was right before Dawson, kind of took a long leave of absence. And not much longer, his dad was like, hey, I want to send my son there, but I hear you all about to lose your coach. And then, we had this whole AD movement with AD left and all of that. And it was just hard to explain that. And at some point, I was literally at SWAC and I got the text, and this was like my top recruit at the time. I got the text like, yeah, coach, thanks for recruiting me, but I'm going in a different direction. And I've gotten that text a few times, since. And a lot of it was related to not being able to sell like continuity or consistency within the program.
No,
All right,
I understand that.
Kofi, get in
I
there with a
appreciate.
question.
Well, I mean, so with the heavy transition that we've experienced in the track program, will there be a spring relay this year? Or will we hold off this year?
You mean like family relays?
Yes, sir.
When you say spring relay, what do you mean by spring relay?
Uh,
Yeah, he's talking about
Normally
family
in the
relays,
spring,
coach.
yeah, the FAMU relays.
Okay, so that I can't really answer. I don't know the answer. I actually did suggest, to the AD that we have a few more home meets and family relays being one of them. And also he's in an interim situation, so it's kind of a situation where it was suggested, it has been brought up. Now, whether the new AD comes in and then it's something that we now kind of grab the bull by the horns and her put together. But at that point, maybe it's too late and it'll be rushed because a lot of teams have already made their schedules. So it's not looking like it will be one this year. It's something that I do think needs to happen. But at this point, I think some of the stability in the program probably needs to be there before we start kind of really planning big home events.
Gotcha, man.
Hey, coach.
So
Hey, coach.
yeah,
Can you talk about right now where we are with scholarships, both on the men and women's side? Uh, are we offering the maximum? How you doing your roster management? Just kind of talk about the uh the athletes you have and maybe some names that you're looking forward to that have a chance to be very competitive.
Okay, so as far as the scholarships outstanding, the men have a lot of outstanding scholarships. We hadn't necessarily maxed out over there. The women are closer to the ceiling. Um, but by next season, as some people roll off, there will be room to offer, you know, going forward. Now, as far as names to watch, there's Lauren Hall, the sprinter that came in from University of North Carolina on the girls' side. And there's also Brianna Brown, which is the high jumper that I brought in, and then Kiera Ivy, which has basically won the conference championship the last 2 years between the SWAC and the MEAC, both indoors and outdoors. She's definitely expected to win the pole vault. On the guys' side, I have a few jumpers to watch for. I think at this point, like Dejan, his development has gotten to a point where I'm actually expecting really big things from him in the long jump. I'm also expecting some good things. Well, last year we didn't have Pache Caldwell because due to injury, but he's back, and I'm expecting him to kind of step up too. So those are two jumpers that I'm expecting big things from. We also have Jaden Sanford on the hurdles, which should score quite a few points in the SWAT. And we have a couple throwers that might kind of pull the back end on the guys to bring in a few extra points here and there too. But as far as the names to watch, I think I've kind of named the ones that I can kind of come to the top of my head.
Last question from me, coach, is what schedule? Do you have your indoor and outdoor schedule kind of set as of right now? Or are you still is it still fluid?
Oh, no. So it's actually already set and it's posted on the site. So the meets that we're expecting to go to this year, they're there. Um, at this point, I don't foresee there being any changes to the schedule. I think that's the schedule we're going to go with. And obviously, in the interim role, if they decide to bring in someone else, they may take a look at outdoor. But I'm pretty sure indoor is solid because at this point, it starts soon as we get back to school.
Okay, good stuff. Awesome. Brian and Kofi, y'all got anything for Coach?
Man, I'm excited.
Let me ask.
Obviously, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. You were there first. Go ahead, Kofi.
No, I was just gonna say, obviously, track and field means a lot to FAMU. And what do you feel like it would take for us to get to be like a program like an A&T or a top tier program like we used to be?
Two things. First, stability. And to elaborate on that, I remember being at regionals with Rachel, and she told me I was her sixth jump coach. And she was here 4 years. And just even when working with her through the half a semester that I worked with her, it was obvious that there was a lot of developmental things that didn't happen that would happen if she had, let's say, a consistent coach. Like if there was one coach that knew what they were doing, that worked with her for 4 years, it was a lot of things that needed to be fixed. But even outside of that, it's like there's been this turnover of coaches and ADs and all of those things that create a level of instability that you just can't expect to have a successful program when you're constantly in transition. Like and then obviously it takes time to build a roster. But like even like this time last season, this season, like it recruiting has kind of been even outside of what I've already discussed, it's kind of been slow because you don't know what your stable coach is going to be, and so you kind of handcuff. Like I would be handcuffed to bring in say anybody I want because we don't know who I'm bringing into. So with that scenario, it'd be probably whoever comes in, or if I am the guy, they'd have to have the freedom to kind of start building a team. And then you have to have time to kind of change the culture and things of that nature, all those kind of cliche things. And the second thing is just literally having someone with a vision and know how to put together. Like the last time it was successful, there was a coach that basically said, like, okay, well, I'm going to win with distance and throws. When you get a coach that's willing to have an identity and able to succeed in that identity, um, that type of coach, I think, could win here easily because I don't think it's hard to recruit the family. And I've only, I've only recruited here for what, a year and a half, or let's say last season. And I pretty much feel like this is a place that you can bring talent in. You just have to have the vision to know, to go do it and to bring in the talent that matches with what you do. Like obviously I'm jumper based. So if it was me, it'd be like jumpers, hurdlers, field events, things of that nature. But someone else, they just basically have to lay out their vision and execute it. And I feel like the right person with the right vision could easily turn this program around. I don't know if I answered everything you asked.
You did. Thank you.
Coach,
Brian?
anybody? Yeah, I was just going to ask, Coach, has anybody from the administrative level? Well, first off, have you had an opportunity to meet and speak with AD Tiffany Dawn Sykes? And then secondly, have you been given kind of timeline as to when the university will want to sort of make a permanent decision with the track program and your role, etc.?
So during homecoming, Tiffany did come out to the track, and she met a few of the athletes that were out there at that time, and she also met me and my assistant coach. So we did have like a quick hey, how you doing, quick chit chat type conversation. So yeah, we did that did happen during homecoming week. Um, as far as a timeline, no, I haven't been given a timeline. Um, so yeah, I don't have any kind of point of reference as far as how long I'll be running the team or be given the team or have to hand the team off.
Okay, okay, I appreciate that. And lastly, let me ask this: what are our goals? And as it relates to the indoor, I know you talked a little bit about where you think the teams could finish. What's the goal as you prepare and as you talk to the athletes?
Obviously the goal is to have as good of an indoor season as possible. And to basically stay healthy and kind of use indoor to really be a springboard to having a really strong outdoors. So as we go into indoors, basically the strategy is basically to kind of put the athletes in a position to be as strong as possible by the end of indoors, kind of as a transition out, so that we'll be as strong as possible. Now we have one or two athletes that may have outside shot at maybe a postseason type scenario, or really one that I'm thinking of. But outside of that, really, it's try to get in sweat, get as high as ranking as possible when we finish in sweat, and basically use it as a springboard to really try to nail down outdoor season.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah. Let's give Coach the last word. Anything you want to tell us about, promote? How can we keep up and follow along with the track program, yourself, on social media, etc.? We'll give you the last word, Coach.
Okay, so I'm on Twitter and Instagram. On Twitter, rpeeps is RPEEP 3 RPEEPS 3. And on Instagram it's Rufasa RUFASSA. And when the season starts, I usually post quite a bit on my Instagram. Just kind of following the team and things of that nature. The Like I said, the schedule is posted on the FAMU Athletics website, so you can kind of know where we are and things of that nature. And other than that, I mean, like I said, I hope we have a really good indoor season, and hopefully that springboards us into having an excellent outdoor season.
Good deal. Good deal. Make sure if we're not already following you, on social media, tag us, Coach, so that way we can make sure that we let Rattler Nation know how to reach you, how to follow, so on and so forth. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right, Coach. Thank you, man.
Well,
I really appreciate you coming on and chatting with us, man. It's been pretty informative.
All right. All right, no problem.
And I'll see you at the spot.
Okay.
The spot.
Kelvin,
Go
you
ahead,
got a
Brian.
spot?
Take it out.
Yeah, like you got a spot?
Hey, man. Take us to break, Brian. Take us to break.
All right. This is the O&G Strike Zone. We'll be back after these words.
This is Brian Fulford. A.D. Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
I'm returning to Clinton Parish, and Tampa's my community. I grew up here, went to school here, and my wife and I make our home here. What makes Tampa special are its people. So when I represent someone injured in my community, it's personal. Call my office and speak to a real lawyer and not some referral service. I will fight the insurance companies to get the settlement that you deserve. At the law office of Clinton Parish, we take the pain out of being heard.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food? Like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
Oh, we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
This is Carlos Brown, letting you know that we're on the move. You can now catch the Carlos Brown Show beginning this July on the Black College Sports Network each and every Saturday from 11 to 1 Eastern Time. That's 10 to 12 Central Time. Same time, new place. On Facebook at the Carlos Brown Show and Black College Sports Network. Online at www.mybcsn.net and on the BCSN app available on Google Play and the Apple App Store.
Five-star backyards, Yellowwood brand pressure-treated pine. If it doesn't have this yellow tag, you don't want it.
Now you can't.
All right. Welcome back to the O&G Strike Zone. Brian Fulford here in audio version. Kelvin, Kofi. Last couple of things that we wanted to get to. Obviously, some interesting news as it relates to the 2023 FAMU football schedule. Obviously, schedules are being formed. And lots of rumors, lots of discussion out there. What do we know? What don't we know regarding the FAMU football schedule thus far? Kofi, I'll start with you.
Well, we know that we've got 8 SWAC games. We know those 8 SWAC games. The thing that's going to change with that is Grambling and UAPB will not be on the schedule, and they'll be replaced with Prairie View and Texas Southern. Texas Southern will be in Houston. Prairie View will be in Tallahassee, which the scheduled date for the Prairie View game is October the 28th. Okay, which pretty much means that's probably going to be our homecoming opponent. Bama State is scheduled, I think, September 23rd, and we have another home game with the University of West Florida following the South Florida game. So that'll be our opening home game. So currently we have 3 home games, and we're working on a 4th. So I don't know who that 4th opponent is. What I will say is that outside of so you have the 8 SWAC games. We've established that you got the 2 out-of-conference games with the University of South Florida and West Florida, and so it's 1 more game. So Tennessee State currently has a 10-game schedule right now. So it'll be interesting to see if we can find a way to get them on the schedule at the right time, see if we can work something out. That being said, there's still other teams that are out there in the Southern Conference, and I'm not sure what their schedules are. I'm just putting it out there. You have Furman, you have Mercer, Samford, University of North Alabama, all of those teams, or whoever we can do or whoever we can schedule to get a fourth home game. And, I'm even open to another SWAC team, if they're willing to come in and be that other team, it just won't count towards the SWAC standings.
I was under the impression that this would. I thought this would be one of those years where you could schedule 12 games. Has anybody heard anything?
That's next year. That's 2024.
Contrary?
Next year.
Okay.
It's
24 and
2024.
25, I think, right?
Okay.
Well, definitely 2024. Okay. It won't be 2023.
Okay. So I
So, Colbert, what happened to the South Carolina State game?
I don't know. I know that Coach Pugh and Coach Simmons are good friends. I don't know. With FAMU, it's always a scene behind the scene. So I don't know. I can't speak to it. I don't even have any speculation on it because I know Coach Pugh and Coach Simmons are good friends. So I don't know what happened with that.
Yeah, because it's still on the FBS schedule site.
Right. So whoever's updated, it hasn't been updated yet. There's a lot of stuff that hasn't been finalized. So we are where we are. It is what it is. And that's the 10 games that we currently have. We got 10 games right now. Looking for an 11th. Homecoming more than likely is going to be October the 28th versus Prairie View, which I think is going to be a very good homecoming. And Bama State's coming, and then West Florida. I know it's been a lot of controversy about that one. Just with people feeling some kind of way because, they're Division II schools. So the people that are playoff, thinking about playoffs and XYZ, if we don't win out, they're kind of like, well, we're right back in the same boat. Well, the formula that we had when we got in is still the same formula. I don't know. Coach Simmons was very adamant about saying the formula is still the formula. It's the same basic schedule that we had last year. It is what it is. And we can't go around trying to please people that weren't really all that concerned about bringing us aboard anyway. However, if this schedule does not work out in our favor and we are not in the SWAC championship game, there will be, people will look to see, there'll be scrutiny. I'll put it like that. There'll be scrutiny, especially if we don't get into the playoffs. But we have a good team returning, and I'm fully expecting us to be in the Celebration Bowl next year. I think that the schedule basically speaks to the fact that we are focusing on the Celebration Bowl. It's Celebration Bowl or bust.
How about this, guys? As people, I was going to say, as people debate about this schedule thing, let's also remember it also takes two to dance. There are a lot of schools who may not want to play FAMU, may not want to play a school from the SWAC for various reasons, right? And especially have to go on the road because, or at least do a home and home. So it kind of limits our pool, it limits our dating pool. You know what I'm saying? Either we find somebody from the MEAC, or it'll get hard with the teams from the Colonial, A&T, and Hampton because their schedules are going to be full. And as challenging as the Colonial is, why would they want to, their conference is hard enough, so to speak. They don't need a tougher opponent. Just a thought. Go ahead, Kelvin.
Well, again, we've got to figure it out because currently we have 10 games. A 3-game home schedule is not going to sit well with Rattler Nation. That's going to be a problem. So we have to find the fourth. Ideally, Christmas wish list. We want Tennessee State. We would want a North Carolina A&T to, put them on the schedule. Got to work it out. It's not worked out yet. It's not finalized, so we don't know. That being said, you got Southland, you got the Southland. I'm talking about conferences within range that would make sense. You got the Southland, you've got the Atlantic. Is it the Atlantic Sun or Big South or both?
Big South and Big South. It's the Big South and
You got
OVC. Big South
you
and
got the
OVC too.
Southland, the Big South. You got the Southern Conference to pull from. You got the MEAC to pull from, and we also have the SWAC to pull from. So within that parameter, we should be able to find one team that can meet what we're trying to do.
Well said.
Yeah,
Kelvin,
and
you want to add any thoughts?
the only thing I was going to add to that in terms of talking about football scheduling is that you're trying to find a balance, where the team can be competitive and not have too many games where they take a physical uh, beating and have to recover and play top talent. You also have the issue of finances, right? Unless you do a home with other FCS schools, which is a 2-year commitment, then you have to do some kind of guarantee. So the guarantee for a Division II school is a lot less. But the trade off with that is that you could lose, number one, and it doesn't help you if you are eligible for the FCS playoffs and you don't win the SWAC. Also, I would say, well, if you were going to trade off a D2 program, I don't know if West Florida is the one. I would have just kept it HBCU if you're going to do D2 anyway. But you know, uh, but I would like to see us bring on a Tennessee State or A&T, and I like to see ATL type classic come back. To be honest with you, but only if the money is right. Otherwise, home and home is fine with me. Um, and I prefer not having the D2 program for multiple reasons. I think if you schedule a A&T who's part of the Colonial now, or a Hampton who's part of the Colonial, or TSU who's part of OVC, those are out of conference games in which you still got that historical connection with them being HBCUs, but because of their schedule and the conferences they're in, it gives the committee, should you not win the SWAC, it gives the committee, another point to be able to compare to, in terms of your competitiveness. So you get both worlds. You get HBCU, but you get a HBCU that's playing in a PWC conference against, especially in the Colonial Conference, who got 5 teams in this year. So I mean, that's what you're looking at, and then do you have money to pay a FCS school a guarantee if you're not going to do a home and home with them, and then of course just having the schedules line up where they got the same open weeks, or can you or them move a game to make it happen. So the logistics of scheduling, usually like that, which is why most teams like to try to schedule, especially out of conference, as early as possible, because you kind of know what your out of conference, I mean your date's going to be. Most of your conference schedule is pretty much October and November, and 1 week in September. So you know your out of conference schedule is going to be up front. So, but for me, a good formula for FAMU would be, I would like to see us get away from beat down games, and replace it like with a ATL Classic. I think you can get the same money, if not more, playing that, and have a better chance to win and be more competitive. But I'm not totally against a competitive PWC game where if you playing like a FAU, FIU, something like that, and then have a A&T TSU historically rival on the schedule. And then if you want to do the third game, if you want to do a PWC, say a Mercer, Kennesaw State, even though I know they're moving up right now, something like that would seem reasonable.
Well, I wanna talk to the whole thing about classics. I think that we have to be responsible. I know Coach Simmons came on last year and he talked about last week and he talked about how much he really valued the home games, which speaks volumes about the direction of the program and what we want to try to do. Um, you schedule the right team. If it's marketed the right way, that's $1 million payday easily, which is going to supersede anything pretty much that you're going to get. Now, the advantage of playing in Atlanta is the fact that it's Black metropolis, but more importantly, there are hundreds, even I want to say, um, a plethora of money making opportunities with the businesses and the media opportunities that are in the ATL that FAMU and the right HBCU can take advantage of, especially during this HBCU movement, and have the opportunity to seize the airwaves, which is a big deal when you're talking about selling your university and putting your university on a higher playing field. There's much more negotiating power in the ATL than probably any other city that we would be able to play in. Plus, it's easy for our fans to get to, and they love going, so that's a big deal.
Yeah, quick counter, Brian, to something Kobe mentioned about. First of all, let me say I'm a 5 home game kind of guy. So we should never not play less than 5 games at Bragg. You also have to consider the strain it is, though, in terms of hotels and travel flying in and out of here. We had 3 games that conflicted with Florida State last year, including homecoming. So uh, so I hope that we better schedule our home games with them, and we'll talk with their athletic department so that we can probably limit that to maybe just 1 game a year, and definitely not homecoming. And then also, you mentioned about $1 million payday. Um, I can tell you that we hadn't had $1 million payday at home. We done sold out homecoming and other places. And the thing I always try to guard folks or educate folks on in terms of home games is, folks look at, you got X amount of people in the stadium, and so this is this kind of revenue, that kind of revenue. Student tickets are part of the equation. The band and room they take up is part of the equation. Comp tickets are part of the equation. So uh, your revenue might be overstated. Number one, and then also with concessions and parking and some of the other things, there's a expense size to game day security, traffic control, um, you know, uh, just the operation of the security, I could tell you the way the athletic department has been structured, not all those revenue generating areas are are under the auspice of athletics, so not all that money comes to athletics. So you know if we can structure our game day experience and for football correctly, then I agree with you. We can get a better return, and we should be getting a better return on that.
Well said.
So I mean that
I
just
would add.
speaks to.
Go ahead, Kofi.
Go ahead, Brian.
Well, no, I just wanted to ask about. You mentioned the conflict of scheduling. I didn't hear, obviously, between Florida State games and FAMU games. Was there any after the fact? Was there any negatives that you heard about Kelvin in regard to those particular weekends? I know we looked at them as being stressful, uh, potentially, but I didn't hear anything from outside of Tallahassee. But you're there. What did you hear about those particular weekends?
Well, particularly like for instance the homecoming game where Florida State played Georgia Tech, it puts a strain on the emergency services and the police department, frankly, to have all those people in the city. And so if there's a real emergency and folks got to get around, or they need to uh, respond, is very challenging for them because they've got everybody on call working on the games themselves. So they have to take away from other priorities. So generally speaking, historically, that they the sheriff department, the police department usually don't want to see FAMU homecoming with another home game. Number one, and I know also that there used to be discussions. The ads or the assistant ads or the coaches, folks knew each other. They had relationships. Now, they got a bunch of new people over there too, and they're not from the community. And we had a bunch of new folks. So uh, I, there was less collaboration than previous years. Um, but yeah, typically, you try to reach out, say, hey, this is what we're looking like for the fall. What are y'all looking like? And it used to get worked out, and we probably need a little bit more of that going into next season. And yes, I did hear things. Folks who here, we're here, so we ain't got to pay the hotels. We know all the back roads. We know to get started early. So it's logistically for us, it's not much of a strain. Where you hear the a lot of the noise from is from the folks who got to come in town and deal with those hotel prices and the traffic and flights and
Right.
and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So
Right. Go ahead. What you want to you wanted to add something, Kofi?
No, not really in regards to that. I think we've hit it. I would like to see Rattler Nation and Knoll Nation and whoever else come together to speak to these hotel prices that are astronomical. I know that it's the season. I know that our hotel industry has to capitalize on something, but it's not conducive to long-term success. I know a lot of people have accumulated a lot of points, and many times they use those points to pay for those rooms and stuff like that. But it's still that's ridiculous. $600 for for a one bedroom, basically with no kitchen and stuff like that. It's ridiculous.
But it's not new though. I used to work in a
Yeah, but
hotel
at some point,
in
if we don't
Tallahassee.
speak to it and confront it, it won't change, and that's my point.
Okay.
well,
I just don't know how you're gonna change
and I
something that's
think
been
tone is
happening for
important.
30 plus years.
Yeah, I think tone is important. And what COVID is speaking to, Brian, I think is uh, not so much confronted as become partners in the process, right? We know football season, what it means to this community, and even the hotel inventory is growing and continues to grow. So at some point, I think it'll catch up. And they have to be more competitive and more reasonable. But in the meantime, we do need our DSOs from both universities, our presidents, and our community leaders, and we have quite a few that are rattlers to come together and work out some things. And in a small scale, it did happen with a couple of events around football games, and of course you heard about had we been able to host a game, the city worked with us on that and securing some room, so it can be done, and we have the relationships we can leverage. We just need a consistent effort and focus on that from our leadership.
Gotcha. All right. Real quick before we get ready to close the show, I know one of the bigger stories that came out, Sam Washington, now former head coach of North Carolina A&T as of this evening, Seems that he and the school, I've seen it so far, the release saying they are parting ways. I think that's how it was worded on the HBCU game day. Our own Jamie Walker we're still waiting to kind of find out was he fired? Was he let go? Did he resign? When you say part ways, that can be any number of things. Just one more opening. Obviously, Jackson State filled the role with TC Taylor. Any quick comments, Kofi, regarding the shuffling, obviously the coaching changes in HBCU football?
I'm shocked that the A&T waited this late to make a move. And I don't know exactly the circumstances surrounding as to why or how we got to this point or how they got to this point. But if something like this were to occur, their AD has been pretty responsible in hiring people, quickly. I want to see if they're following the theory of hiring somebody within so they can keep the program going, or they're going to pull in from the outside. So all of that's interesting. You don't really have a whole lot of time because early signing day is next week. So whatever they're going to do, they need to hurry up and do. And then, and I can't worry too much about it because I really don't care that much about A&T, but, you know, uh, you've got a whole bunch of people that's got to hire coaches pretty soon, and it's kind of speaking to the competency level of the people that did the firing and who's doing the hiring. True to form, Ashley Robinson had a plan. They knew that pretty much that they wanted to go with TC, and they didn't make that a long drawn out process, and they closed the deal, and the rest is history. So there we go.
Calvin, how about you? Any comments, thoughts?
Oh yeah. I agree. Sam Washington went 7-4, I think, this year. 7-5, whatever the case may be. 7-4.
Yep.
So in the Big South, and he was undefeated until the last game, and they took it on the chin in the last game. So I don't know, about the timing and what led to this decision. It gives me pause. I agree with Kobe that AD Hilton up there has been doing a pretty good job. And they going to Colonial. But if he messed this up, his job on the line too. Given the timing and their star running back is already in the transfer portal. He look good in orange green. I can say that. But yeah. So that can go bad real quick. So we'll see how that get handled. And then you still got Bethune and Pine Bluff and other schools out there, SWAT schools that are looking for coaches as well as D2 schools, like Albany, but at least they lost their coach because he took a job at a bigger school. So yeah, a lot going on in HBCU land right now, and hopefully the Rattlers can benefit from this.
With North Carolina A&T added, what's the most appealing head coaching job that's open right now?
Well, for me, here's what I'm going to say, and here's why I'm going to say it. I ain't going to say A&T.
Go ahead.
I'm not going to say A&T because I believe the UAPB job is a very good job. And the reason why I say that it's a good job is it ain't really no pressure. Like Southern, you got to come in and you got to win immediately. You come to FAMU, the pressure is on. You go to a Jackson State following a Dion, the pressure is on. There is no pressure at University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, and the facilities are not necessarily that bad. So if you get somebody that knows what they're doing and knows how to work that region and knows how to work, is not afraid to work that fan base, you can build something up, and you won't have to face FAMU, Bama State, or the SWAC East every year. You know, Texas Southern has been pretty inconsistent. Prairie View is at an inconsistent state. Southern University with Dooley, they're beatable. Hugh and them at Grambling is beatable, you know. So UAPB is not. I know I joke about them all the time, but when you go into a job, you wanna feel as though you're appreciated. You'll get that at UAPB. But the main thing is that there's not going to be an axe over your head, if you lose immediately. You go to some of these other places, A&T, the expectations are sky high. And I know they're going to the Colonial, but these people are expecting to win. And, it's going to be more pressure at A&T than it is at UAPB.
I'm gonna be real quick, Brian.
What do you say?
I'm a,
Yeah, quickly.
I'm gonna count. I'm gonna count what Kobe said. Pine Bluff. You don't want to go nowhere. First, it's Pine Bluff, right? I think Scotty said the same thing. It's Pine Bluff. Nobody cares. You want to go somewhere where people care, where people want to win, who expect to win, and who willing to put some resources toward winning. So that's why I say A&T is more desirable because you got stability there. You got a president that's been there a long time, AD that's been there a long time. They're going into a power FCS conference. They got good facilities, and so it's a good situation. So if I'm a coach, I want to go where they expect to win. I don't see that as a bad thing. All right, go ahead, Brian.
I know. I agree with you. I'd have to throw the A&T job in there. All right. As we get ready to close the show here, guys, Celebration Bowl is Saturday. Celebration Bowl 7, North Carolina Central, Jackson State. Jackson State is a 16.5-point favorite. The over/under is 56. Kofi, I know you don't care about this game, but I still am obligated to ask you for a pick. Who do you like?
I'm going Jackson State. I'm going to say 31-20.
Jackson State 31-20. Okay. I like that. That's going under and covering for Central. I like that. Kelvin, what do you got?
38-28. I think is about matchups. I think Dion, he want to go out with a win. He got this Power 5 job. He want to go undefeated. I think his players want to go undefeated. The ones who gonna go in the transfer portal and leave. And I just think that Central's a little undersized up front on the defensive side, and so I don't know how effective. I know they quarterback. I believe in their quarterback. And I know they averaged 38 points against FCS opponents, HBCUs or whatever, but that wasn't Jackson State. So I got JSU by 10.
All right. So by your score, you're taking the over, and you got Central to cover. I got Jackson State 24-17. I'm playing under the total of 56, but more importantly, I'm laying heavy on Central plus the 16.5. And I might just put a little pizza money on the 5-1 for Central to win straight up. Just in case the MEAC, shows itself to once again be the dominating conference that it's been in the Celebration Bowl. So yeah, that's gonna do it.
The difference for me this year is the fact that South Carolina State had weapons. Shaq Davis is like a Randy Moss type athlete. He's going to be playing on Sundays. I don't see that North Carolina Central has anybody on that level outside. They are good, but I don't think that their receiving core is better than FAMU's receiving core. And their quarterback is dynamic, but if the receivers can't get space, that's going to be tremendous problems for them to, get chunk plays. And that hasn't been Jackson State all year long. I think even Southern's wide receivers are better than Central's. So I would be shocked to see Central get a whole lot of separation. with their plays. If that's happening, that's telling me there's something mentally is going on with Jackson State, that they got caught up in the Dion thing, which is possible. But that being said, I'm gonna go with Jackson State.
All right, there it is. It's a noon kickoff, noon Eastern. Our very own Tiffany Green will be doing the play-by-play. So if nothing else, tune in to listen to Tiffany and show your support for Tiffany Green, Rattler alum, who's calling the game with Jay Walker. And I think the other young lady's name is Tiffany Blackman. So, all right, that's going to do it for tonight's show. Appreciate you guys sticking in there with us. Hit the thumbs up button on your way out the door. Please make sure you're following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at O&G Strike Zone. The podcast will be available on BCSN Pod Zone, and download the Jericho Broadcast Network's app on the Google Play and Apple App Store. For our producer, Mel, Kofi, Kelvin, I'm Brian Fulford. Once again, I know. Thank you. Once again, support the Jericho Broadcast Network's network fundraiser, myjbn.com/grow. Help us continue to grow, make the improvements so that we can continue to bring you quality coverage on all of our platforms. That's going to do it for tonight's show. Thanks for watching. Be safe out there, guys. Be safe. Until we talk to you again next week. You've been watching O&G Strike Zone. Make sure to be safe and make sure to strike, and strike again, Rattler Nation. Peace out.
Hubba.